Do you ever feel like when it comes to your training and your actual workouts that you feel like you're doing everything right, but the scale, your body recomposition isn't actually changing? You're even running a couple of weeks, you're even running a couple of days a week, and you're like, man, I'm stuck. And you're wondering yourself, what is it that's actually missing? Is it my workouts? Is it my nutrition? Is it because I'm older? Is it because of the stress? Like, if you're wondering these different things, you're in the right spot. Because in this video, I'm gonna break down, along with this entire hybrid training series that I'm working through, I'm covering everything that there is to know about hybrid training and how to build muscle, how to lose fat, how to change your body composition, how to feel like an athlete again. And all that sounds great and all, but the truth that you really want to know is, how do you actually lose body fat? In this video, I'm going to break it all down. Because if we're being completely real, most people are doing random workouts. They're chasing cardio. They're trying to figure out how many calories. Because if we're being completely honest, most dudes are focusing on doing random workouts. They have absolutely no plan whenever they go into the gym. Maybe they eat pretty clean, or maybe you eat pretty clean throughout the week, but on the weekend you have a cheat meal, and that kind of serves as resetting for the week, and then you try to get hard back at it. You're focusing on cardio, or doing cardio too soon as opposed to focus on building muscle, because when you focus on purely on cardio, you're not actually increasing your BMR, your basic metabolic rate, which the more you exercise and focus on muscle, it allows you to actually eat more. Compared to just doing cardio, you only have to eat this amount, and it's easy to overeat, and you keep on putting on weight, and your body doesn't actually change. So you're just stuck doing the wrong strategy. You're focused over here when you need to focus on the complete opposite. Focus on building muscle, focus on activity more. You'll be able to eat more, you'll feel better, you won't be starving, you'll be able to eat more. You won't have shame because you're trying to follow the strict diet at dinner time with your family. And it makes so much more sense. However, most people are completely unaware of this methodology. And I like to think about like a roadmap. Like, if this is the roadmap and the target where you're trying to go, but you're over here and you're too zoomed in on the map, you have to zoom out to actually be able to see where you're trying to go. Because here you're just trying to guess and you don't know which way to be going with your fitness. And the reality is, hard work and your efforts when it comes to workouts only work when it's taking you into the right direction. If you keep trying to go all these different ways, you're going to keep up guessing, doing random stuff, when what you need to be doing is over here, because that leads to results and checkpoints and measurements and all these different things that take place in a weight loss or a body recomposition journey. So let's talk about the three things that what hybrid training actually fixes when it comes to body recomposition. Number one, strength training versus hypertrophy training is a little bit different. Strength training is more lower repetitions. Call it 1 to 5 repetitions. It's like max power output. It's max how much can you lift. It's max output. Force. Hypertrophy training is, generally speaking, higher reps. It could be anywhere from like 8 to 30 reps. It's a lot more time under tension. This is most likely to be less injury prone because you have longer time under tension, so you're controlling the reps, so you can't do as much weight. Higher repetitions means you're not going to have as much weight because it's longer. And those things alone are going to help break down and create physical adaptation because of the eccentric loading, which is the most important phase in order to actually build muscle. Now, the more muscle you have, the stronger you will get. And it is important, like we talked about in previous videos, on odd weeks or even weeks to be focused on low reps, and on the opposing weeks to be focused on higher reps. And when you do this and you cycle back and forth, overall, you get strength, you couple it with building muscle, and you flip-flop between those two. But the reality is, if you're not lifting with an actual plan and you're just doing random workouts and you're just walking in and you're just trying to say, hey, I'm going to do some shoulders today, or I'm going to do some back today, or I'm going to try to do some total body workout, you're not actually doing the progression, and this is what matters the most. Now, when it comes to actual cardio, or when it comes to conditioning, I need you to lock in and listen up here, because this is the reality. You hear a lot about zone 2 training, you hear a lot about HIIT training. Which one burns more calories? Now, hear me out here. When we're talking about zone training, like if this is zone 5 and this is zone 1, up here, probably somewhere around this block, you are going to burn primarily carbohydrates. So your body, I shouldn't say burn carbohydrates, your body is going to utilize carbohydrates as its main primary source of fuel. So if you don't have a lot of carbs, which your body only can store a certain amount, once it's gone, that's when you hear people like bonking. They get dizzy. They run out of their glycogen is down. So it's like you don't have any more energy. You can't go and you just feel like you're dead. So let me back up here. So up here and down here, you're going to be using primarily fat as your primary source of oxidation for energy. And the better you are at using fat as fuel, your body has way more calories to use from fat than it does carbohydrates. Like, don't quote me on this, but I think your body can only store something like 2,000 or something like that, and the fat was like 180,000 or something. It was dramatically different. So here's the deal. When it comes to using fat as fuel in lower intensity training, lower intensity does not burn very many calories. It is lower on stress, which most of us need. It does improve your aerobic capacity. And the better you get at lower, typically zone 2 training, and the way you figure that out is by 180 minus your age is going to get you within 5 to 10 beats of your target heart rate. So if you're 30 years old, that means somewhere around 150 heart rate to be in a zone 2. Now, it's going to burn not as many calories. It's going to be lower stress, which is a good thing, and it's going to improve your aerobic capacity. Now, the better you get at zone 2, that point at which your body switches to using carbohydrates, if you're very not cardiovascular fit, meaning like as soon as you start exercising, your heart rate jumps all the way up in here. Well, you're in this high stress all the time, so you're burning carbohydrates as your primary source of fuel, and your body is too stressed out all the time. Too stressed out leads to everything. Higher cortisol, higher stress, higher all the things. So we want to be down here for as long as possible. So if you have a good aerobic capacity, a good use of fat oxidation, you might you might be up here as opposed to down here. So the longer you can delay that process of essentially getting into zone 4 or zone 5, the better. Now, you don't want to just completely become a slow zone 2 junkie. You do need to spend time in high intensity. You do need to train hard. It's just the majority of your training needs to be at a lower intensity, or you being a lot fitter to obtain that. Because when you do train at high intensity, you do burn more calories. You don't burn as much calories from fat as your primary source of fuel, but you burn a lot more calories. The problem is, if you don't have your nutrition dialed in, this typically leads to overeating, or mentally feeling like, I had a really great workout, I deserve to eat it, and you start to crave sugar, or you start to think that you can eat more. So then you end up going over on your calories, and you're thinking, what the heck, man, I'm training so hard, why isn't this actually working? You got to get a lot better at the lower intensity zone 2 aerobic capacity stuff. Now, when it comes to actual nutrition, I'm going to teach you and just give you a sample insight of what my day actually looks like about flexible nutrition and having your nutrition, your carbohydrates, and your protein be centered around your workout. Not a strict diet plan. I mean, like I've talked about in other videos, I have nutrition broken down into 4 different pillars, and I'm not going to get into all of this right now. I've got that in other videos, but I just want to give you an example of what my day looks like. So the very first thing I do in the morning, water with electrolytes, first thing. Then I have fasted cardio, and then right after the cardio, I'm intentionally getting protein for me, I'm just giving you an example, eggs, Ezekiel bread, and a smoothie. Smoothie's got bananas, it's got creatine, it's got hemp seed, it's got chia seed. So I'm getting protein, I'm getting flaxseed, I'm getting healthy sugars from the bananas, from the strawberries, I'm getting oats, so I'm getting tons of fiber. So my morning has got water, it's got fasted cardio, it's got protein, it's solid. A couple of hours later, I go with a tuna sandwich, typically because it's got high protein, 20-25 grams of protein with some kiwi. So I'm combining now high protein but low calorie with some healthy fruit. For lunch, I'm going to have some type of protein source. I'll have some type of vegetable, sweet potato, quinoa, and you want to have brown rice or complex carbohydrate compared to maybe white rice, depending on when you work out in the day. Now, if I'm going to work out pretty shortly, like if I'm going to work out at X time, well, I would want to have a simple carbohydrate like white rice, for example, if I'm going to be needing that fuel pretty longer or pretty soon. Complex carbohydrate is when I'm like, hey, I need to be full for a long time. I'm not going to do anything for a long time, so I need to stay full for longer. Complex carbohydrates will keep you full for longer because it's got more fiber and it's going to just keep you full. And that's why the volume with the sweet potatoes and the broccoli will keep you full, but there's not a lot of calories in it, so you don't end up overeating later. Most of you guys that wait till dinner time and you don't eat enough throughout your day, you end up starving, you end up overeating because you didn't have enough volume in vegetables, you didn't have enough volume in fiber, you didn't have the oats, the broccoli, the tuna. So you got to eat more in the day so you don't crash eat at night. At dinner, I'll have some type of protein, vegetable, carbohydrate, and then I like to have Greek yogurt at night because it's low calorie and it's packed with protein. That is an example day of what nutrition looks like on my behalf. And if you have ever felt frustrated like what I just talked about, how you feel like you're doing so well, you barely have anything for lunch or breakfast, and then for lunch you have like some type of salad or whatever, but then you just can't kick the cravings at night, that's the reason why. Not eating enough throughout the day, lack of fiber, lack of volume. So questions about that, put it down in the comments below. So if that made you begin to rethink about what training could actually, what gap maybe you're missing, or the nutrition side of things, or kind of get a grasp of what could be happening, go ahead and subscribe to this series, because for the next 30 days, I'm in the middle of a hybrid training thing, telling you anything and everything that I'm going to be covering and I can think of when it comes to hybrid training for dads who are trying to build muscle, who are trying to lose weight, who are trying to feel like an athlete again so they can play with their kids and feel FIT, so they can feel fit. So if you haven't already, go ahead and check out a couple of the videos that I've just posted. And for ones that are coming up for the rest of the month, comment down below on what topics you want me to cover, and I'll see you tomorrow.